Welcome to another Do What You Love sessions here. We got the sign. Today's the first day I actually brought the sign. So there you go. I love it. I used to be in my studio, but now I want to bring it here too. So today I have a very special guest with me, a friend I met in Miami. We actually met when he performed at Zayze, a beautiful venue here in Miami that I love and has a really good vibe. And I walked up to him and he said, I was like, dude, I love your music. What's your Instagram? We connected. Kind of the rest was history. And I was like, you know what? You should come today to the studio and we can record a set and talk a little bit. His name is Abram from Venezuela. So welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background, how you started DJing, and what kind of led you to where you are.
Yeah, so as you said, I'm originally from Venezuela. I moved to the U.S. when I was 16. Did college in Tampa, Florida. Then after that, I moved to Seattle for work. I was there for about 6, maybe close to 7 years. And Seattle is much smaller than Miami, but it definitely has a colorful music scene. And I always liked music since I was a kid. Always had an affinity for electronic music, but obviously being Venezuelan, you know, my dad was always huge into salsa, merengue, all of the Latin genres. So my house was always blasting with music, even a lot of classical. So yeah, I think music has always been part of my life. Similar to probably what most DJs will tell you, music has always been part of their life. But when I moved to Seattle, I kind of, because the scene is much smaller and again, colorful and ever growing, I wanted to get more involved. And I think it was in 2018, I moved to a new house, the Summit House. Shout out to the Summit boys. And then we threw a housewarming party, and I thought, oh, let's get a sound system. Let's get some lights. Wouldn't it be cool if we bought a deck too? Mm-hmm. And at the time, it wasn't like pre-pandemic time, so I think like having friends that DJ at parties was a little bit more rare. Like we would go to shows to see DJs play, not really DJ at people's houses. But at the time, in my friend group, I was one of the first ones that kind of picked up the hobby, and you know, I kept practicing and trying to hone the craft a little bit more and more and more, and then started promoting to clubs in Seattle, started promoting with this collective called the Studio 44, and yeah, from there, it's just kept growing more and more and kept, you know, enveloping myself more and more, and recently been picking up a little bit more of the production side. So I was DJ first and now producer.
You started with the house parties. That's a
Yes.
good way to start. You know, if they don't book you, make your own party so you can book yourself, right?
That was like actually my idea, because I was promoting so much. I was promoting for like all these different like groups in Seattle, and then I would get like, you know, the opening slot here and there, and then I said, well, like I can do this. I can do it with my friends. So then we started throwing our own parties, and then I feel like that kind of took the notice of like a lot of people in the scene, and then
In Seattle still, or?
in Seattle, yeah,
Gotcha.
like we threw like some pretty big parties, some really awesome events. Some of them were even for charity, and yeah, I think like then you just sort of become addicted to like that energy, everybody dancing, everybody like kind of on the same wavelength, and been doing it ever since.
How was your first party? Like the first time you ever got booked? Was it your own, or how did you get that first opportunity for anyone wondering how to get booked in a local scene?
So that one specifically, I remember it was a silent disco party at this little train called the Orient Express in Seattle, and it's kind of like an abandoned train / Chinese restaurant, but on Fridays and Saturdays they would do like little pop-up events, and they had like the silent disco one where like, you know, everybody's like wearing like the headphones and picking up the station,
I love
whatever.
the silent disco concept.
So a friend of mine invited me to that, and then it was my first gig, so I was super excited. This is like back in like end of 2018 or early 2019. So I invited all of my friends, and you know, the power of community, and all my friends were there, and you know, from there, like it kind of takes a while to get that second gig, that third gig. So that's why I started throwing my own events. And that first one that we did, we kind of used community to rally people to come. Like, how do you get people to come to your events? So we said like, oh, we'll donate all of the proceeds to the Washington
charity.
Trails or to charity. In this case, it was Washington Trails Association. And, you know, Seattle is super big on nature and all of that, the outdoors. So a ton of people came, and yeah, it was a really, really fun time.
That's amazing. And when did you move to Miami?
Officially in December, I officially moved here. but I'm not like fully new to Miami. Like my sisters live here, my mom,
Yeah.
my grandma. So like I've been coming here from a very young age. But yeah, officially it's been like 3 years.
I lived in New York City for a while, and I had kind of like my thing going on there, doing events and stuff and DJing. And then when I moved to Miami, it was almost like a reset. Like I had to like restart all my connections and all of that. So it was tough. Like it took maybe like a year and a half to really like settle into the city and the local scene. So how did you restart in Miami from Seattle?
So I kind of took like a more passive approach because I knew that moving here, like I would have to start from zero. And instead of like going out and hustling and promoting and all these things that I did in Seattle, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm going to focus on production and, like working on my music. But at the same time, like friends would invite me to parties, and then I meet a person that likes electronic music. And then that guy's a DJ.
Yeah.
You should talk to him. Like you guys should
Yeah.
connect. So it came like very naturally. Like I wasn't like hustling as I did in Seattle. So yeah, I think just like the power of friendship,
Yeah.
like meeting people like that.
I think the way to get booked in this city, at least, is to like go support your DJ friends and show
Absolutely.
face. That's like the best way. I mean, that's how we met. So
That
that's-
is how we met. Who were you there for that day?
Cami's birthday.
For Cami, yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
she gave me like my first gig here, so
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah. Shout out to Cami.
Yeah, amazing. Awesome, dude. And let's talk about production. When did you start producing?
I started producing like I would say playfully in the pandemic, so like 2020. And then I kind of like stopped doing it, and then I was traveling for like a year, so like I would like make beats here and there, but I would say like it's been about a year that I've been like hunkering down, and I've kind of reached, or I'm reaching a point where I feel like, oh, like this is playable, because 90% of the stuff that you make is crap, and then 10% is like, oh, like that actually sounds good. So like I feel like I've reached that level, or I'm reaching that level. You always keep improving, but yeah.
What sound do you really resonate with, and do you define yourself DJing or producing, or is it the same kind of vibe?
Yeah, I think it's like, I feel like it's a combination of everything. I see that a lot of the DJs that I like, DJ Tennis is a prime example. Like he has a very eclectic sound. Like I don't feel like you can pinpoint or put it in a box. Like, I really love house. House is number one for me. But then I'll really like melodic techno, and then like I'll have like phases where I'm like really digging for like disco tracks, or funk or jacking house. So yeah, just like a little bit of everything. And if it has infused like some Latin flavor as well, then that's always a plus. So yeah, like Latin
Keep
house.
your roots, yeah. I do feel like DJs that start DJing and then go into producing, because they've been in the culture for so long, they have so many influences. Where if you start producing, maybe you have like that one sound that you pursue forever. But as a DJ, when you play at like different venues, you kind of tailor to a crowd. It's like you have all these influences, you don't know what to choose. So I love the idea of not putting yourself in a box. And I wanted to mention that your song got supported in one of the biggest events in the world, maybe even at least in Miami, the Miami Music Week, El Row closing party. I was there while DJ Tennis and LPGOB played that song. So tell us the story about how that song got into that USB, into that CDJ, and not into the PA of like Factory Town main stage. I think they had 10,000 people, dude. And your song was like at like 2 or 3 a.m., so it was like peak time.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was definitely like kind of I've said it's kind of like a full circle moment for me. I know it's like a small thing, but to see like one of my biggest idols, DJ Tennis, play it. I don't know if he played it, maybe LPGOB did, but to see them mix that song for me was awesome. I essentially, like, as I was saying, like I kind of go through phases where I like specific type of music, and I was listening to like a lot of disco, and I think it was a song by Nice, I don't know exactly. I forgot the exact name of the song. I think it's called Super Loving. It's a beautiful piano riff, and I'm like, oh, I want to make something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to play a piano, but I can definitely like tell what's a good piano riff or like that's
so you
good.
got the good DJ taste. Right? You
So-
got the taste from DJing so many hours.
Exactly. So I started looking through like a bunch of like different piano riffs, and I found one that I really liked, and I kind of modified it, pitched it up, and then I said like, this is awesome, but I kind of wanted to have like a really thumping energy, and I added like, a techno drum kick and just like, drums, and the song came out really good. And I had seen a video, I've seen LPGOB play live. I love her, and she plays a lot of piano stuff. So
Yeah.
I felt like, oh, like this has a cool piano riff. Maybe she'll like it. So I sent it to her email.
How did you find her
Instagram.
promo email? Did you just DM her?
I DM her on Instagram, and she got back to me. She's like, oh, like send it to like this promo email. So then I sent it to her promo email, and like a week after, she replied to me saying that she really liked the song, that like she loved to play it, maybe explore it, and yeah, like she's played it a couple times. She played it in Spain at a pretty big gig in Madrid, and now she played it at Elro. So because she really did like the song, which is
Damn,
good.
that's awesome that she's also willing to support like an artist.
Yeah, she's great.
That you meet through social media. So that's amazing. Let's start DJing soon. So
Right.
what kind of vibe are you feeling? Tell the
I'm
people.
feeling like groovy disco vibes today, so maybe I'll start off with that, and I'll
and see where it takes us.
See where
Okay,
it takes
cool.
us.
Let's do it, man. Let's
All
go.
right, cool.